A decorated Marine captain stands outside his house with a gun pressed against his own head while his terrified wife desperately begs him to stop. Just moments earlier, the same man had been smashing everything in his kitchen in a violent rage while his daughters watched from upstairs in fear. In the chaos, he even pointed the gun at his own brother. But how did a respected soldier and loving father end up like this? To understand that, we have to go back to the mission that changed everything. Months earlier, Sam Cahill was leading a mission in Afghanistan when his helicopter suddenly came under attack. Within seconds, the aircraft was hit and forced down deep in enemy territory. Surrounded by militants, Sam and another soldier were captured and dragged away as prisoners. They were thrown into a dark, underground prison where days turned into weeks of hunger, fear, and brutal torture. But the worst moment came when the militants forced Sam to make an impossible choice. In order to survive, he was forced to kill the very soldier who had been captured with him. That single moment would haunt him forever. Eventually, Sam was rescued and brought back home to his family. His wife Grace and their daughters were overwhelmed with joy, believing they had been given a miracle. But the man who returned home was no longer the same man who left. Before the war, Sam had been the perfect husband and father, a respected Marine who always tried to do the right thing. His younger brother Tommy, however, had always lived a very different life. Reckless and troubled, Tommy had just been released from prison, and despite their differences, Sam still welcomed him back into the family. For a while, things seemed normal again, but the trauma Sam carried inside slowly began to surface. Haunted by nightmares and memories of captivity, he became distant and paranoid. As the days passed, he began to suspect that something had happened between his wife and his brother while he was gone. Every conversation and every glance started to look suspicious in his eyes. The tension inside the house grew worse each day, as Sam's guilt and trauma pushed him closer and closer to the edge. Eventually, the pressure became too much, and Sam exploded in rage, destroying his own kitchen while his daughters cried upstairs in fear. When Tommy tried to calm him down, the confrontation quickly turned violent. Moments later, the war hero who had survived the battlefield walked outside his home and pressed a gun against his own head. Finally, Sam broke down and confessed the truth about what happened during his captivity. The guilt of killing his fellow soldier had been destroying him from the inside ever since. Realizing how deeply the trauma had affected him, Sam finally agreed to get help for the war that was still raging inside his mind. Because sometimes, the most dangerous battles are not fought on the battlefield, but inside the minds of the soldiers who survive them.